Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers have practically built themselves. Hello, folks. It's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to Echoes from the Chalkboard. Today, we are going to look at one of the 4 school buildings that has been slated by the Salt Lake City School District to be closed. Now, there was an audit a couple of years or so ago from the Utah State School Board that said, hey, you guys have schools that are operating with couple hundred kids, and the amount of money you're spending versus anyway, you guys need to close some schools. So the school district got together, did some studies, decided that they could close 4 schools safely and kind of reposition things around so that other schools got the kids that were going there. But these 4 schools have been established for some time, over 100 years in each case, and some of them closer to 125 years. So it's kind of sad to see a school not building. These buildings have all been rebuilt in the past 20 to 30 years. But the original school, I mean, they sit on the land that the original school was. They're part of the neighborhood legacy and have been for over a century in these different areas. We already looked at the Jackson School. We looked at one called Benyon that originally was called Webster. We have 2 left. So today we're going to take a quick look at the Hawthorne School, which is scheduled to close at, the end of business in the first part of June. So stick with Mad Dog Merv as we take a look at some of the history of the Hawthorne School in Salt Lake City.
In the year 1911, plans were made for the construction of a school on the northwest corner of 700 East and Tempest Street, which is now 1700 South in Salt Lake City. This building was to help be centrally located as to relieve overcrowding from the Whittier, Emerson, and Forest schools. Originally, it was to be named Uinta Public School. However, a last-minute change was to make the school's name after Nathaniel Hawthorne, a famous author. Hawthorne was completed and ready for occupancy on February 12, 1912. It was the 3rd fireproof building constructed by the Board of Education. In 1921, a 2-story semi-fireproof building containing 13 classrooms, auditorium, book room, fan room, and 2 small kindergarten toilets was added. Steel sash construction was used for the first time in city schools. The name Uinta would be used just a few years later given to a school just a few blocks east from. In the first quarter of 1912, 462 students were enrolled. But by 1924, 918 students were enrolled, serviced by a corps of 28 teachers. Now, all of this is in a building that is less than 40,000 square feet, 39,383 square feet to be precise. You can see in this 1911 Sanborn map, this is before the building was actually finished, that's why it says Uinta on it, but you can plainly see the name of Tempest Avenue, which is quite interesting, and 700 East. Wow, how times have changed. Here is a modern look at the modern school that takes this site. You can see where the grass field is where the original building once stood. 7th East is at the top, and what is now 1700 South is on the right hand side, and 600 East is at the very bottom of the picture. So here's a picture taken in the 1940s, as I believe, from 700 East. looking west at the old Hawthorne School. You can plainly see the manual training building and I believe that was a boiler room also as well there. Very prominent edifice that sat on this corner for many, many years. Here's another great shot taken from 700 East. You can see that the road, as it would widen, got closer and closer to the building. But those beautiful marquees above each door that said Hawthorne School. Such a lovely building. When the addition was added to the west, it was incorporated, the looks were incorporated from the original building. And here you are in the wintertime. I want to say this was a picture from the 1950s. The school parking lot off to the right hand side. I don't have a lot of pictures of this particular building, but what few I do have, it's definitely one you can't miss. Many thousands of students went through these doors. As I said, the peak enrollment was nearly 1,000 students at one point in time. Beautiful, beautiful foyer. Most of this artwork was recessed into openings in the wall that were specifically built for this artwork to go in there. And the cool part was when they tore the old building down and built the new building, the same thing happened. They took these beautiful pieces of artwork and put them in the new building. And here's one of those by one of the entrances. Look at those beautiful wooden doors. Oh, great to have some pictures of the inside of this building. So today, the neighborhood is serviced by a modern 63,000 square foot building that was constructed in 1986. And as I mentioned before, this will be its final year and it will be closing its doors as a school this year. But the echo of the original building does not end here. Let me tell you a little story from about 10 years ago. There was a crew excavating for a drainage ditch that came across a startling discovery. The company was working on a site on 1145 South and 700 West in Salt Lake City and ran into a cement slab that was approximately 3 feet high and 7 feet long. When they turned over the slab, the words Hawthorne School were seen plain as day. The site manager quickly did an internet search for Hawthorne and found pictures of the marquee above the main doors to the old Hawthorne School on 700 East that had been completed and readied for occupancy in February of 1912. The site manager then emailed the school with the following. Attached is a photo of what we believe to be the sign off of your original school building. If we are right, then the sign was manufactured circa 1911. As you can see, it is damaged but largely intact. I'm not exactly sure what it is doing here on our site, which is located on 1145 South and 700 West. It was buried in the ground and dug up yesterday afternoon. You are more than welcome to come and see it. As I said, I believe that it could be restored and perhaps make a nice addition to your school again. Unfortunately, if you don't want it, it will ultimately be destroyed and removed from the site as trash, which would be a shame. From what I have been able to ascertain from grounds employees that that have been here for many years, is that this property was once used by the Board of Education to store old bleacher parts and other surplus outdoor items. This must have been saved from demolition from the old building by some well-intended person who thought that someday it might find its way back on the new building. Obviously, they moved on, the property was sold, and the marquee was left or had been partially buried and blended into the surrounding terrain. So, thanks to the help of our grounds foreman at the time, Mark Ruff, and his staff, the marquee has been saved. It is safe and sound at the facility services warehouse awaiting for whatever is next. So a special thanks go to Mr. Rupert Adams and Scott Griffin of Altman's Construction for helping us preserve this piece of history.